Today, on Be Something Wonderful, resistance and opposites are all part of your wish fulfilled unfolding. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning and welcome back to the studios of Be Something Wonderful. Big video for you today. The question came up around contrary conditions. When opposites appear, when it looks like there's resistance or unwanted or negative conditions, what do? I feel like I'm getting triggered. Remember what I've talked about in many videos now, but the obstacle that you're creating or the block that you feel that you're experiencing, all is self-created from this idea, self-imposed block, from this idea that you're confusing opposites and what you're judging as negative conditions or resistance for non-fulfillment. You're looking at that as evidence of non-fulfillment, that your wish is not getting fulfilled, that your wishes are not coming true, that you're not in your new imagined identity, that you're not in your new imagined reality. But rather, instead of that, remember, resistance, opposites, contrary conditions are all part of the natural process of reality creation. I want to talk about this so powerfully today, more powerfully than we ever have before. Remember, desire and resistance are both natural, right? As soon as you desire, you create the resistance, right? Just like in aerodynamics, where you have the thrust and the drag. Both are necessary for the plane to get off the ground and to fly and to land, right? With desire and resistance are both natural, innate requirements for reality creation, or to experience change in that changeless or perfect reality. After all, what is resistance? It's just change. Change where? Change in that changeless ultimate reality where there's only perfect unity, where cause equals effect. But to know yourself as that perfect identity, as that perfect I am awareness, as that perfect reality, you create change in the changeless. You desire something, and the resistance is part of that organic, innate reality creation process. It's only when we resist the resistance, when we resist the opposites, when we resist those conditions that we believe are blocking us from what we want, that we create the idea of non-fulfillment. Do you see it? Don't confuse changing conditions or opposites, unwanted or undesired circumstances for non-fulfillment, right? See all resistance, perceive all resistance, all opposites, all contrary conditions as proof that the reality creation process is unfolding perfectly, right? Leading you to everything you desire. That's why they call it the path of least resistance. It's not called the path of no resistance. It's called the path of least resistance, right? You see it all as part of the path or the way or the bridge, right? When Jesus said, I am the way, your awareness is the way. It's the path. It's the bridge of incidents that Neville Goddard talks about to fulfillment as a 3D manifested reality. Just as thrust and drag are necessary part of the flying experience. Right? So let's talk about this. I talked about this analogy of thrust and drag in other videos, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. Here's where I want to start. It's not the path of no resistance, it's the path of least resistance. Resistance is simply change in that changeless reality of all that is, or all that you are. Resistance and opposites are how you experience change in that otherwise perfect unity of ultimate reality. How do you know yourself as source, as that supreme being, as that changeless being? That's how. That change or resistance, opposites and contrary conditions, is your new reality forming and coalescing around your new assumptions and your concept of who you are now. Wow. That's powerful, right? That's what that resistance is. Your perceiving or looking is your entire experience of reality. The whole idea of looking at reality or perceiving reality is reality. In other words, your story of yourself and others in the world. So when you change the way you perceive or see or look at reality, your entire reality changes. So that in all of that change or resistance is part of it. All of those opposites are part of it. So remember, Dr. Wayne Dyer was famous for this. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The way, I am the way. It's your awareness. When you change the way you're aware of reality, the reality changes. The way that awareness changes. What you're aware of changes. Right? When you change the way, I am the way. You are seeing, perceiving, experiencing, looking at the now moment from a different perspective, a different viewpoint, a different vantage point that changes everything. It's the same moment. It's the same creation. Creation's finished. It's the same structure, but you're looking at that structure or seeing it, perceiving it, looking at it in this one moment of now from a different vantage point, from a different perspective. And that's all part of what change is, or resistance, in other words. It's all innate. It's all organic. It's when we resist that change that we create this idea of non-fulfillment. The way is the path of least resistance, the way of least resistance. I am the way of least resistance, that I am awareness. It's about the path or the way, not about the resistance. Do you see it? We start making it about the resistance and not the path. Right? The path of least resistance is about the path, not the resistance. Right? Resistance is inherent or innate in how you experience that changeless, resistance-free reality that you are. That I am awareness, that's totally pure awareness. That's pure beingness, that is forever resistance-free. Right? Stop trying to get rid of, deal with, change, and resist the resistance. That's really what I wanted to talk about today. When you imagine, assume, affirm, and choose your desired reality and identity, I am, the path or the way is chosen. Do you see it? When you assume, when you stand in that new reality, when you declare it, when you have that anomalous burst of energy to say, this is my decision now, this is who I am. Here I am, like Moses answered God. Here I am. When you assume and you choose that reality, when you assume it and choose it, the path or the way is chosen. Right? When you choose the end, the means is determined by that end, by that imagined end. The path of the way is chosen, and it's always the path, hear this, always the path of least resistance. Not the path of no resistance, but of least resistance. But a little resistance comes up, a contrary condition, even if it's judged big by you, you start resisting it. It's all part of the path. Remember what Jesus said, you did not choose me, but I chose you. Do you see it? The path is chosen for you. I am the way. Jesus, I am the way. I am the path. That whatever you ask the Father in my name or nature or I am, he may give you. Wow. The path is created for you as you assume your imagined end. Your job's to focus on that end. Be in that end. Assume that. Declare that. Stay there. Right? Go to the end and stay there. You did not choose me, but I chose you. That path is chosen for you. I am the way. That's what Jesus is saying here. When you ask the Father, in other words, when you imagine, when you assume, when you affirm, when you choose, in my name, in that I am awareness, aware of already being that which you want to be, he may give you. In other words, that path is laid out already. It's determined. Right? When you imagine, assume, think, believe, and choose differently, you create a new path or new way to everything you desire as a physically manifested experience in 3D reality. Wow. A path of least resistance, the bridge of incidence that Neville Goddard talks about. When you imagine, assume, think, and believe, and choose differently, you create a new path or a new way to everything you desire as a physically manifested experience of 3D reality. That's powerful. So remember, nature always follows the path of least resistance. It's natural. It's your nature as I am awareness. That's your nature. Remember Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together, wire together. New neural pathways. In other words, by changing the way you look at reality, your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions and beliefs, when you imagine it differently, you create a new way or path as you persist in your desired end. Right? Your spiritual neurons are firing and wiring together, creating that imagined path that will unfold in 3D as a 3D physical experience, right? By the way you change it, those thoughts, feelings, assumptions, when you change, you're now wiring together a new path or creating a new path or new way. But remember, it's chosen for you as you imagine it, as you stand in that end. The imagined end wills the means to that end. In other words, it creates the path or bridge of least resistance to all you want or all you desire. The resistance is never the problem. It's natural, or it's your nature, right? It's your resistance to the resistance or to the path or the way that creates the unnatural resistance, right? All of those opposites and resistance are natural. It's unnatural to resist the resistance. That's powerful today. The question is, what assumptions are you firing and wiring? That's the question. What are they assumptions from lack and separation from what you want, or assumptions of love and unity with all you desire? That's the question. What are you firing and wiring? You're creating a path either way. One is of the most resistance and one is of the least resistance. Which is it? Is it the least resistance? Assumptions of love and unity with all you desire, or most resistance, assumptions of lack and separation from what you want. Either way, there's a path, right? With your assumptions or self-concept or I am, how you imagine yourself in reality, you create an experience or change in that changeless reality, all that is. That change or path is governed by the universal laws. All of those universal laws that we've talked about in many videos. Rhythm, balance, opposites, polarity, correspondence, vibration, attraction, frequency, etc. So when you resist the path, you push against the laws of the universe. Right? The law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law of frequency, the law of correspondence, the law of polarity, the law of opposites, the law of cause and effect, the law of balance, the law of rhythm. All of those, right? So when you declare something, when you imagine it, you invoke those laws. Those are part of that experience in duality or relativity. That's part of how you experience change in the changeless reality. But there's a higher law that's over all of those laws. That all of these laws are subject to the higher law. What is that higher law? They're subordinate to the higher law of I am. The highest, that's the law of the land. That's the Lord of Scripture, right? That I am is the highest law, right? So when you resist or push against the path of least resistance or the universal laws, you're forgetting the higher law. The law of being, I am. The law of I am the law of Moses. Remember when Jesus said that in The Chosen, I am the law. Well, remember, you saw that they were pushing against him. Right? It was like, it's like they were saying that if you're declaring that you're the prophet, that you're the Messiah, that's not according to the law of Moses, we must punish you. Do you see this? So, and then Jesus declares, wait a minute, I am the law of Moses. I'm not punished by the laws. In other words, you're not punished by these universal lower laws. That's the example. That's a great example. Those lower laws are not there to punish you. They are there to empower you, to lead you to everything you want. But when you resist them, it feels like you're being punished by them. But remember what Jesus said, I am the law of Moses. I am the highest law of the land. That those universal laws work within me and through me and as me. Right? You only feel like you're being punished by the law when you resist it and don't allow it to work through you and as you. Right? Those universal laws are subordinate to the higher law of I am. Right? Everything is dual. Everything's relative with poles and pairs of opposites. That's the whole idea of change and experience of that changeless reality. Right? Those poles or pairs are not separate, but relative to each other, and only different in degree of vibration or frequency. The seed of one is in the other. One cannot exist without the other. The desired and the undesired, the wanted and the unwanted, the positive and negative all go together. They're not different, right? They're not different, they're the same, right? This is where Abraham Hicks talks about the other end of the stick, right? But really, it's the ends of the stick meet. So extremes meet. Positive equals negative, desired equals undesired, wanted equals unwanted. They're not separate, but they're part of the way that we experience that unity that we are. That's powerful. So therefore, in the same way, the path or the way cannot be seen or experienced without the resistance. It's all part of it. This is what Neil Donald Walsh says in Conversations with God. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. How do you know you're that supreme changeless reality, that beingness, that I am awareness, that perfection, without experiencing the resistance of the change and experiencing what it's like not to be? That's what Walsh was getting at. As you imagine, assume, affirm, and occupy your new desired reality and identity, every mental action gives rise to its opposite reaction. Do you see it? When you assume it, you give rise to the equal and opposite reaction. Those reactions are not obstacles or problems or sabotage. We think reality is sabotaging us or punishing us. But it's a natural resistance. It's organic to the reality creation process or experience. To experience change in that changeless reality, it's only your resistance to that resistance that creates or feels like you're being punished by the law. You're not getting what you want. Resistance and opposites are all part of your wish fulfilled unfolding. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, The Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful, for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, and for being part of our membership channel. Today, this morning, in just a few minutes from now, I think maybe 50 minutes from now, we're going to have our live stream, our 5th live stream of the year, our 14th live stream at all, and this is going to be broadcast on the Be Something Wonderful membership channel. I'm going to be answering your questions that you've been sending to us at info@besomethingwonderful.com, and some of the topics, and I will answer questions right on the live stream, right as we're chatting. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom Kearin here in the studios of Be Something Wonderful. Until next time, we'll see you soon.